All right, we are here on the afternoon of the 18th of November. I've been mentioning about these beautiful live oak trees. Now what you're looking at is just a limb of the live oak tree here. It comes down, actually touches the ground right there. To give you an idea of how big this limb is, I'll get over here and put my hand on it. See, this is a serious limb right here. And then that one over there is even bigger. It goes down and it goes up and up and up and up. Now, being as these are native to around here, I imagine that a Native American that was pretty nimble and pretty young wouldn't have had a lot of trouble crawling up that limb and sitting up there. Here's another spot right here that this is as high as I can reach right here, that you could sit if you wanted to and wait for the deer to come up. Go over here and I'll show you these trees rival anything anywhere for live oak trees. There's another spot up there that could be sat on, even a higher stand if you wanted to, and looking up into the beautiful canopy up there. This thing here is just absolutely magnificent. Now, why it comes up in a couple of different forks, I don't know. Now, these live oak trees were not used for lumber around here, except in special circumstances where they were needed. It is definitely the strongest wood maybe anywhere in the world. But you see that piece right there? They used these extensively in the wooden shipbuilding business back in the colonial times. And what they would do is they would cut the limbs off and hew them into a shape, because see, they already were, that one right there, where they needed a member of the ship that took a curve like on the side, and they could use that. It's already bent the way they wanted it to be bent. Now also, they would dig the tree up, dig the roots up. Imagine they would go down into the ground and curve out, and they would hand hew those into the curved members of the ships, where the sides, it came off the keel and then curved up. So you can imagine all the different members of the ship. Now, the most famous ship that was made out of this in America anyway was the USS Constitution. They also called it Old Ironsides. And that ship was made from live oak timbers that were gotten from Jekyll Island, Georgia. Jekyll Island. And they also had some more barrier islands that they got these from. Blackbeard Island was one of them. Is a place where, if you wish to do it, you can actually bow hunt Blackbeard Island now 3 times a year. Back when I was hunting it, they didn't have very good ways to get up in the trees unless you wanted to do this, you know, climb up on a limb. That would get old after a while. But now that they have saddles and all these modern things. Okay, so that's the live oak tree. And there are probably 100 of these live oak trees in this flat. Read about the old Ironsides. It was the last hurrah before the steel iron ships. And the story is that the cannonballs bounced off of the wooden timbers of the old Ironside. The doggone thing is still floating now. I'm sure it is. I used to live in Massachusetts. I'm walking over to my stand that I figured out a ground blind here. Now these live oak trees put a type of acorn that the deer are very fond of. This particular tree has finished, I think. They're not falling anymore. But they don't all fall at the same time. They're staggered. There's some more out here that are still dropping the acorns. And of course, there may be a few up there. Looking back at it. All right, there's Debbie hiding behind the tree over there. She's hiding. All right. I want to show you why I put my stand right here. Now this right here part of this place was a field 30 years ago. And this is all grown up since then. These are immature or small live oak trees. Of course, they're substantial. Why did I pick this? Look at this right here. That's a buck scrape. And that's a buck scrape. And that's a buck scrape. The deer feed in from out there in that overgrown field. They do this. No, there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 scrapes right there. So this was here last year. This is definitely a primary scrape right here. I'm going to show you one of the live oak acorns. Now this is not a very big one, but they start off green, and then as they get ripe and mature, they turn this color. And that is what they're looking for. They'll eat them green, but they love them when they turn this color right here. I'll call that a black olive color. Now here's another scrape. These guys are just lined up in here. That one's probably not been hit for a few days. Okay, now all along in here is these 30, 40-year-old live oak trees. There's one right there. Now I'll show you where I picked for my ground blind. Right over there is a stand of, I don't really know what they are, but it's some kind of a shrub or tree that grows up in many different forks. So I have gotten my Walmart chair that's probably almost as old as these live oaks and set it there. It is right there. Cut a few pieces of leafy boughs and laid them across. That's all I'm going to do at this time. After I sit there, I did clear a couple of shooting lanes. I've lost my chair again. Well, that's good. There it is, because the deer might not find it. I did have a chair stolen from this vicinity last year, but I was only out, and it was an old one. I guess it was worth $3 or $4. Now you see this rub right, this scrape right here. I'll call it a scrape. Now look, directly above it is the licking branch right there. And there's another one right there. I probably won't sit here this afternoon, but it'll be here. And it'll be here next year also. If I'm here next year, and if I still have permission to hunt this property, which all that can always change, you know, But you take what you can get and you thank God for it. All right, I'm going to walk over here to this a little bit closer and show you. Yes, that's grape there has been hit very recently. And here's another one. I'm sorry for the jittery camera work, but that's just the way it is. Let me close this a little closer. There we go. Now there's my trees that go up that I've got my blind built behind. Now you notice they're all going out and, you know, bending over in that direction. My guess is that these live oaks are so thick behind them that when these trees came up that they were bending toward the light, which this would have been a field back then. All right, I'll be sitting here in that chair right there with my crossbow very soon. Now this would not be a good place for a longbow. A longbow is just too doggone noticeable. You have is a big long thing and you have to wield it around, but to sit in that chair right there very quietly, wind direction will have to be going more or less from the southwest, and the deer will come along right here and feed along in here, and that buck will come along there and scrape and look at his licking branch. I'd like to say the Lord's Prayer to end this video, which I often do and I almost always do, as a way of thanking God and thanking the Lord, thanking Him for the people that watch my videos and that find what I do entertaining enough or informative enough to watch. All right, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you for watching.